content with me, Persolaise, coming to you from YouTube, and I just have to do the usual thing of pressing various buttons and making sure that everything is coming through loud and clear. It doesn't seem to be coming through at the moment. Oh, here we go. I think we are live with the first comment going to Rich Mitch. So, what is the plan for the next 3/4 of an hour or so? 40 minutes, 45 minutes? Keith is saying hello as well. Joanna saying congratulations, Persolaise. Very happy for you and the channel and all of us. So on that note, I'm going to say that this is what this video is going to be about. Basically to say a huge thank you to all of you for helping me reach the milestone of 10,000 subscribers. It doesn't seem possible at all on YouTube, and we're going to celebrate it, if that's the right word, or mark it, or at least today we're going to mark it by doing a little Ask Me Anything video. I haven't done one of these since March of last year, and I thought, okay, well, it's high time. I did also have some rather less self-centered, rather less egotistical, less self-congratulatory plans for reaching the 10,000 subscriber milestone. But for one thing, I actually have reached this milestone a little bit sooner than I thought I was going to, so I'm not quite ready. I thought maybe it might happen at the end of November, beginning of December, or I hoped it might happen round about then. And also, a lot of the plans that I I haven't been able to pull off because one thing hasn't happened, or I thought, oh gosh, I don't know how I'm going to be able to do this. So watch this space. This is hopefully just the beginning. There are some interesting interviews that I'm hoping I will be able to bring your way before the end of the year. There is one particular thing that I'm planning as well, but I just don't know if technologically I'm going to be able to pull it off. So this is just the start, and I'm so touched by all of these thank yous. I'm not ignoring them. I can see them flashing up on the screen here. Olfactive Stories, Gino, Rich Mitch, Mr. Dark Shines, Cutie Camille, Gonzalo, Miguel, Yura, everybody saying a huge congratulations, but seriously, I need to say a massive thanks to you, because obviously the numbers are all down to you, and so I wouldn't have reached this milestone if it weren't for you, but also I wouldn't have kept going if it weren't for you, and for all of this encouragement. Mr. Darkshines, I'm not sure that is correct. Cancun Lover 88 says, you have been a friend, kept us company on rainy and sunny days. That's very, very sweet. And I think that's how actually I approach these videos. I don't just think, okay, they're an opportunity for me to smell a perfume and see what I think of a new release, but also they have now become an opportunity to connect with all of you from around the world. So I will do the usual and say, please consider subscribing to this channel if you haven't already done so. 10,000 of you have, so, you know, let's keep that number going. Please do consider supporting my work on Ko-fi as well. You will find the details for all of that in the video description below, which will be up a little while at the end of this broadcast. So huge thanks, but now let's do the very, very strange thing of talking about me for a while, but I'm mainly doing this because a lot of you said that you wanted another Ask Me Anything video. So over the last day or so, lots of questions have come in, and I mean lots of questions that have come in through Instagram and on YouTube as well. And I've actually sort of gone through. There's no way I'm going to be able to answer all of them. I've sort of had to highlight the ones that grabbed my attention straight away. So first of all, apologies to anybody whose question I don't get a chance to ask, but feel free to ask some more now, or if the response to one of the questions prompts another question, feel free to fire another one my way. Planter's Daughter says, we love this, left a party so as not to miss this episode. That good a party. I hope nobody from the party is watching, but thank you very much. So I don't actually know where to start. Some of them I can answer really quickly. Let's start with these, the ones that I can answer really quickly. Ilias, I don't know if he's watching right now, but Ilias Zompoulis on Instagram says, which fragrance would you protest for it to go back into production? And it didn't actually take me long to think of this because, and you know me, a lot of you know me really well now. I try not to overthink these things because overthinking is my middle name. But the one that came to mind straight away was Jean Patou's Joy. I think it's scandalous that that isn't out there. I was actually talking to somebody the other day about the fact that Dior, as we all know, not that long ago released a perfume called Joy, and that was after they had effectively bought up the Jean Patou name and kind of pushed Joy um, under the carpet, swept it under the carpet. Um, and this person that I was talking to, who does work in the industry, said that I'm in a tiny, tiny, tiny minority, as in me, I'm in a tiny minority um, of people who even knew that this perfume called Joy by Jean Patou existed. And so it kind of doesn't matter that Dior released one called Joy. Now, I don't know if that is true. I don't know how many people there are out there who knew of a perfume called Joy by Jean Patou. I'm sure that if we were to do a survey here, the results would be kind of biased and skewed because I'm guessing almost all of you have heard about Joy. But I'm not sure that that's a good enough argument. You know, that would be like sort of saying that because not many people have heard of some obscure book that is actually a classic of literature that we should just do away with it. I also don't want to ignore your comments, okay? Keith says, I think you should have reached 10,000 subscribers long ago. Your content is so much better than the channels that have far more subscribers. Anyway, congratulations. Well, it's very, very kind and sweet of you to say that, but, you know, each to their own. I don't think I'm ever going to have as many subscribers as, well, the people who have more subscribers, because I guess the content finds the audience and we have found each other, and that's fine. What I can say very, very, very confidently is that my 10,000 subscribers are really, really, really engaged and switched on and knowledgeable. Prof. Melvin says, my local niche store has several Patou Joy stocked up. You need to tell people where that is because they're probably going to want to buy some of that. You're saying Jean Patou Joy is probably one of the best floral perfumes you can get. Couldn't agree more. Immortel says never smelt it, so basically I wouldn't claim to know it. Yeah, it is a shame that perfume has kind of disappeared when it's one of the most important perfumes ever made. Gonzalo says, congrats, top 5 reviewers channels for me. Very, very kind. Thank you very much. Have you seen Ostara at TK Maxx, says Gavin Lambert. Not sure it's still there. Yeah. And as Aileen said, you know, Aileen is echoing what I'm saying. The content finds the audience. Absolutely. Absolutely. So thank you very much for the question, Ilias. Poet Dove 95 said, some of these really fascinated me because I thought, do you really want to know this stuff? Yura saying Persolaise is a niche YouTuber, a relatively hidden gem. I've always been a relatively hidden gem. Poet Dove 95 says, do you ever get a little stage fright before you go live on Love at First Scent? I get the tiniest little bit of healthy nerves. I think a healthy dose of nerves is well, it's healthy, it's good, it's useful because it kind of keeps you sharp. But I will tell you what I get worried about. I get worried about the tech. I never change the setup, or you know, I may get a new phone now and then, or I may get a new mic, but barring those sorts of major changes, I don't change the setup from week to week or day to day. I don't even move the stand into which I place my phone, and I use my phone as my camera. And so I'm just mystified as to why things look very, very different from one episode to another, sound different from one episode to the other. I suppose the look probably has a lot to do with whatever color shirt I may happen to be wearing, because the phone camera does its own automatic settings thing. I have less control than I might have over a dedicated camera. But the sound thing I don't understand, and then when I do the interviews, the way some of those get messed up, I don't understand. So that's what I get nervous about. Tell me to sort of move on to more perfumey things if you don't find this interesting, because I just think why do you really find this fascinating? Hussein says, congratulations, here's to 100,000 or more, the best perfume channel on YouTube by far. You're too kind. Thank you very much. There you go, Denby going back to the Joy comment. Only a minority of people have read Don Quixote. So time to burn all the copies. Exactly, exactly. And actually, we could take that a little bit further because maybe there aren't even that many people out there who have even heard of Don Quixote, let alone having read it. Rich Mitch says, "Oh, I think is that to me or is that to somebody else?" Anyway, moving on. What other comments have we got there? Angela saying, "Hi there, Persolaise and everyone. Huge congratulations on 10K, richly deserved. Thank you so much, and thank you for your ongoing support as well, Angela." Let's do another question. Now, this was an interesting one because I thought, oh, that's freaky. This was Instagram as well. Skincare Lover 101 says, "What are you reading currently?" And I thought, oh, well, that's quite a good question to ask at the moment. I'm not always reading perfume books, trust me, but this time, on this occasion, I am genuinely reading a perfume book. I'm reading this one that was given to me as a gift a little while ago, a belated Christmas gift, and it's this one. The Scent of Empires. I think it only came out this year. I wonder how many of you out there are aware of it. The Scent of Empires, Chanel No. 5 and Red Moscow by Karl Schlegel, and it's an English translation. And the whole idea of the book, I'm about what, maybe about a third of the way through? Is it a third? Maybe a bit less than a third. Is to almost do a kind of social history of the early 20th century of Europe by drawing a parallel between the creation of Chanel No. 5 over in Western Europe and a scent called Red Moscow over in Russia, in Eastern Europe. And so far, anyway, the author is presenting an argument about how it's not a coincidence that these two scents came out at roughly the same time. Now, I have to say, I'm not finding it as compelling as I thought I would. It feels like there's a lot of padding. I get that feeling with a lot of perfume related books, that there's an initial idea, and I would imagine that the author goes to, I don't know, an agent or a publisher and says, I've got this idea for a perfume book that's going to look at social history or cultural history, and then they're given a word count, and they realize that maybe actually there isn't enough to say to justify the word count, and you end up getting a lot of padding. Or maybe that is because I have read so much about No. 5 that I tend to see the repetition as padding. But I have taken to scanning some of the chapters so far. Joanna says, "I really enjoyed this book, way more than many others on perfume I read this year." Okay, fair enough. As Heimke says, more a history book than about perfume. But I thought this is quite non-representative of the sort of thing that I read. I mean, obviously, if there is a new perfume book that comes out that looks interesting, then then I will snap it up. But there aren't many out there. And I thought, okay, I'm also going to bring the three that are at the top of my must-read next list. I don't know about you. I mean, I adore reading. I absolutely love reading. By training, I'm an English teacher. I studied a year of I studied literature for a year at university before I then went on and specialized in journalism and film. So I feel that there aren't enough hours in the day to read. And actually, really, it's only in the summer holidays when I can completely switch off from the day job that I totally get stuck into books and just read them properly, voraciously, without stopping. I don't know about you, but I hate stopping and starting books because you completely lose the thread. So I always have a huge must read. I've just seen comment, Mr. P should write 50 Shades of Spray. Or maybe not. And my must-read pile is always kind of staring at me thinking, read. And in fact, the one that I'm going to share with you here was already on my must-read pile for the summer that's just been, and we talked about it in a recent review of the État Libre d'Orange scent, Ghost in the Shell. So that's top of the list. Dan Simmons' Hyperion, but also this is next on the list, a novel called Quicksand by a Japanese author called Junichiro Tanizaki. I'd never heard of him. I read a book by him in the summer that Madame Persolaise just sort of picked up at a second-hand bookshop, I think when we popped over to Italy. And what was that one? It's the most famous one. The Makioka sisters. That's it. The Makioka sisters. That was so good. Talk about epic family saga. So that, hopefully, that shouldn't take me too long. So maybe that'll be a Christmas read. And then also one of my favorite living authors is Colm Tóibín. This is his latest book called The Magician. But I'm a little bit wary of this one because apparently this book is about Thomas Mann. As in, it's a sort of novelization, a novel form of either the life of Thomas Mann or an incident in the life of, I'm not sure. And I don't, I've never read Thomas Mann. And there's another Colm Tóibín book called The Master, which is about Henry James. And I'm also not over familiar with Henry James. And that is the only Colm Tóibín book now with this one that I haven't read. I've read all of his other ones. And absolutely love them. As I say, he is one of my favorite living authors. So this one I'm a bit wary of because I think, okay, will I get a lot out of it if I don't know Thomas Mann? And I know some of you watching are going to say, well, you should read Thomas Mann. And yeah, I absolutely should. Denby says, you write about film as well as perfume. Do you have any go-to film fragrance pairings you'd recommend? Well, first of all, thank you for bringing that up. Yes, some of you may be aware that there is also a darushalavi.com blog, which gets a lot a lot less attention than the Persolaise blog. But one way that I try to keep that blog populated or updated with some posts is that I write about film. So at the moment, what I'm doing, what I have been doing all of 2021, is doing a monthly update of the films that I've been watching. If you're interested, I could link to that below. But perfume film pairings, nothing springs to mind straight away. But you may not be aware, Denby, that a couple of years ago, I did. I went on BBC Radio 4 and talked about doing sort of smell readings of films, and I talked about films that made a particularly strong olfactory impression on me. And I mentioned it, there are a few episodes. This was spread over several months, little sort of 5-minute snippets, and you will find the links to all of those on persolaise.com. I seem to remember I talked about The Graduate, I talked about Silence of the Lambs, I talked about The Age of Innocence, Apocalypse Now was one episode that we did. There were a few. I ended up doing a few. And then I also took that a little bit further and wrote about films in relation to scent. So check that out. Go to persolaise.com and you will find the link to that very easily at the top of the blog. Cancun Lover 88 says, who's the person that has influenced you the most in your dress style? Now, weirdly enough, I don't think I've actually ever been asked that, and I don't think I would know I don't think there has been anybody that I've consciously. I don't know why. Who do you think? Who do you think I'm channeling? And I'm not sure. I have got a style. Well, the one thing about style with me and dress sense is that I always try to not do plain and bland, because I think life is too short. I mean, I have been known to go out to buy some milk wearing nothing but t-shirt and jeans, but it doesn't happen very often. You have great style, Mr. P says. Thank you very much. But who I've been influenced by? I don't know. Gonzalo, I think the answer to that is don't hold your breath. Okay, let's do another one from the ones that were sent in. Maria RVXG said, are you a monster, beast, or skin perfume? See, actually, I do like all perfumes as long as they're interesting and original and have something unusual or compelling to say. But, if I had to pick, I think it's pretty clear that I do, I do like to project. What else? Suzu on Mars says, are you fluent in Polish? And she sends greetings from Lithuania. I think it would be inaccurate for me to say that I am fluent in Polish, but I absolutely can get by fine. I mean, in terms of like going into a shop and buying something or ordering something at a restaurant or having a conversation, no problem. But if you were to have a kind of longer extended conversation with me, you would notice very, very quickly that I make lots and lots of grammatical mistakes that native Polish speakers, I think, find quite amusing. If you speak Polish, or if you have ever tried to learn Polish, you will know that Polish grammar is hard. Um, at least in English, we have got a relatively simple grammar. What makes English difficult is reading and spelling. The English spelling system is just so, well, it isn't a system, it's just completely messed up. Olfactive Story says Polish grammar is a nightmare. Yeah, Polish grammar is what are you talking about? Me doing spins and push-ups? Are these Jeremy references? Because I think I saw something about speedos as well. I'm not going to look at it. So you would find that I make lots and lots of grammatical errors, and also you would find that I feel frustrated because my vocab isn't as rich as I would like it to be, and so I just can't express myself as well as I would like to. But in all other senses, asking for directions, doing all of that kind of basic stuff, then yes, I'm fine. Everyday Product says Polish is as hard as Hungarian. See, actually, I was told that Hungarian is harder, but I don't know, because Hungarian is such a unique language, isn't it? It doesn't seem to have links with any other languages. I appreciate your literary background, says NP80s, because it complements your knowledge of fragrances. I studied literature too. Well, there you go. Thank you very much. I just wish I had a better memory for all the things that I've read. Beef Cobb says Polish food or Persian food. See, I just love all food too much. Somebody asked me this before, and I think I said Persian main course, Polish dessert. Actually, we had some makowiec today, some Polish poppy seed cake, poppy seed like roulade, but not the best I've ever had. French food is best, says Everyday Products. Yes, if I had to pick a cuisine, good classic traditional French food, lots of butter and lots of cream. Mona is saying Hungarian is related to Finnish, and Joanna is going, makowiec. It was good, it was good. More questions. This was from Nicholas Manion, or Nicola Manion. Should we read between the lines if you haven't ever reviewed a major niche brand? Now, this, in a way, touches on all of this business of objectivity in reviews, because there was another question that somebody asked as well about paid for reviews and how I go about deciding what to review. And I touched on this in the first Ask Me Anything video that I did, which I suppose I should link to actually in this video. But I think this is a thing that is worth repeating. I have never, ever, ever done on Persolaise.com or here on YouTube what you might call a sponsored post or a sponsored video, in the sense of somebody contacting me and saying, what do you charge? We will pay you if you were to review this scent. I've never done that. I have written articles for publications like Sunday Times Style, Harrods Magazine, etc., and I have been paid for those, but then I have done those as a journalist. And I have also on occasion worked with brands to do either customer-facing events or consultancy, and I have been paid for that. But that's always, always, always been on the understanding that it's not suddenly going to mean that I'm, from that day onwards, always going to review their perfumes, their work, and give them positive reviews. In fact, I always make it very clear when I say, you do realize that this does not change my journalistic objectivity in relation to your products. And they, more often than not, they say, yeah, fine, that's why we're coming to you, because you're the expert that people trust. And Gavin is saying, have you ever been contacted by companies asking you to do that? Yes, it happens on a weekly basis, and it seems to be happening more and more, which makes me think, does that mean it is happening actually more and more out in the industry, in the writing industry? New brands will contact, and the default setting now actually seems to be, what are your rates? What are your charges for doing a review? And I now have a standard response that I just basically copy paste, and I say, thank you very much for mentioning your brand. Congratulations on setting up a new brand. It's a very difficult thing to do in this market, to set up a new brand. I would absolutely love to try your perfumes, because I'm always on the lookout for new brands to bring to the attention of my readers and viewers. However, please can I point out that I cannot guarantee to write about any samples that I may receive, and I absolutely cannot guarantee that any reviews will be positive. And to give them their due, the vast majority of brands write back and say, yeah, okay, fine, we respect that. Can we please have your address and we'll send you some samples. A few will then write back and say, okay, that's fine, but if you don't like the perfumes, could you promise not to write about them? And of course, there is only one way I can respond to that. I respond by saying, no, I'm not making any exceptions. I have explained to you, I cannot guarantee that I will write about any samples that I receive, and I cannot guarantee that any reviews will necessarily be positive. There are not going to be any exceptions made for a perfume, for a brand where I sort of go, oh, well, I didn't like that one, so I won't mention it. And like I said, to give them their due, most brands are fine with it. And they will send me a discovery set or whatever. I would strike a note of caution and say, be careful with the content that you are reading and following out there, because I think that there is a little bit less transparency than there used to be about people who are taking payment and not being honest about it. If people want to take payment for doing reviews, that's absolutely fine. I don't make any judgments about how people pay their bills and make ends meet. But I would say, if that is what you're doing, you need to say that that's what you're doing. Because the people who are reading you and watching you have a right to know, I think. You will see from the video description that I have done for the last several videos, and it will also be in the video description for this video once I post it, that there is one brand whose work I have not reviewed for many, many months now, for a particular reason. A lot of you will know what that brand is, because I have done some work for them, and I thought I cannot in all conscience review their work. I hope a time will come soon when I will be able to review their work, because I really, really want to, because it's one of my favorite brands. And I say that objectively, but I can't do it at the moment. I want to see what the response is to some of this, by the way. Alex, I'm looking at your comment saying, I wondered how you stay so fit and handsome. That's very, very kind, but I'm not sure I agree. So I'm just, thank you very much. Daniel says, oh no, that's another question. Good question. I may come back to that. And I get a little smile from somebody called Renaud Salmon. Thank you very much for watching, Renaud. Yeah, you know which brand I'm talking about, right? Leah says, brands large and small, fashion and perfume, want mindless Instagram ambassadors. That is why reviewers like you are so important. Thank you very much. Everyday Product says, is that a brand that starts with an A and ends with a moan? Maybe. Claire is asking a question that actually, Woozy's going smart move. Well, Claire is asking a question that a few people asked. Will Le Snob be back in print ever? The only honest answer I can give you to that is that I don't know. Some of you may remember I've asked this, been asked this question many times, that I don't own the copyright to the book. I was commissioned to write it, and the middleman company that commissioned me to write it on behalf of the publisher owned the copyright, and it was only ever going to be a limited run. And even though, as far as I'm aware, it sold very well, I don't think that publishing house wants to do another one, which I personally think is a shame. I think an update would be worth doing, but I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. Somebody else also asked a question related. Now, where was that one? There you go. It was Perfume etc., who on Instagram says, do you plan to write another novella for kids after publishing The Pumpkin Seed in 2015? Thank you very much for that question. It's very kind of you to mention that. Very, very quickly, because I don't want to dwell on it. I try to write lots and lots of fiction in whatever spare time I get. I have written a couple of novels, nothing that has been published. So far, I haven't been able to get an agent or a publisher. The last novel that I wrote, I could get very, very teary about this, because I spent a year, like the last novel took about 5 or 6 years to write, and nobody was interested in picking it up. So I will still keep sending it to various people, but I've also started writing the next one because I guess you have to keep going. Because if you don't, you would just get too depressed and spend all of your time crying your eyes out. But many, many years ago, I had this idea to write a series of children's books. And one of them was this little book called The Pumpkin Seed, which I was actually really quite proud of, quite unusually for me. I'm not really very often proud of the or pleased with the stuff that I write, which is I think why I keep going, because the thing that drives me is to try to keep making it better and better. But the pumpkin seed I did think worked, and uh, a few agents actually expressed an interest in it, but they said that it was too short, because they said that the market for children's books then was for books that were a little bit longer. So I tried to extend it, uh, and but I think it lost something. I think it was better when it was shorter. But anyway, even though nothing came of it, lots and lots of people seemed to like it, including a primary school teacher that I happen to know, who ex-primary school teacher I should say, who read the book to his pupils, and they loved it. And he read it to his pupils, new batches of pupils year after year, and they all really really loved it, to the point where I went to his school as a kind of visiting author and spent a little while with the kids talking to them about the book. And I thought, okay, there is something here. People seem to be responding to this book. People seem to be it seems to be resonating for them. There's an artist who I know as well, who decided to do illustrations for the book. So I thought, okay, because I'm normally very very wary of things like self-publishing and vanity publishing, but I thought, okay, let's put the book out there. Let's make it available. So I did a self-publishing thing on Amazon, and I thought if people want to buy it, it's there for them. I think I have made in royalties the sum total of like £2.50 from all the time, from all the time that it's been there. But the answer to your question, Perfume, etc., is that no, there are no plans to write any more kids' books, because I'm trying to put all of my energies and any spare time that I have into a novel, adult literary fiction novel. What are the comments that are coming here? Keith is saying, I would love to get your thoughts on the latest Amouage, so I hope you will be able to review them again soon. Um, Everyday Products is asking the question about Dior and Francis Kurkdjian, which a few people have asked, so maybe we'll come back to that one. Claire is saying, we would all clamour for a reprint of your book, a petition of perfume geeks. You could try. I just don't think they're interested. I think they're the kind of publishing house that thought, okay, they've sort of made their bit of money from that publication, and that they're going to move on. Yasmina says, what do you think about the new Miss Dior? I'm pretty sure I reviewed it here, actually, so you should be able to find a review. Woozy says, I remember when a visiting author came to my school, basically shot down every book theory our smart ass English teacher put to her. I love that. Isn't there a story about Quentin Tarantino? Not my favorite director at all, but an interesting person nonetheless. There's some story about how when he was filming Pulp Fiction, there was a scene set, I think, either in a trailer or in a room, and a toaster popped up with either some bread or pop tarts or something, except that the toaster shouldn't have popped up then. So the toast up popped the pop tart or the bread, and everybody else thought that Quentin Tarantino would shout cut, but he didn't. And he said, no, we're going to keep that take. We're going to keep the take where the toaster pops, because film geeks are going to be wondering for years what on earth that means and what I was trying to say by including the popping up toaster, whereas actually it was just pure timing, accident, coincidence. So there goes the English reading theories as well. Something about reviewers charging here. What was this people saying? Time to Musk Up says a few reviewers have a price list for different rates. Price for one review, higher price for a house overview, another price for doing an Instagram mention. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's the kind of thing that happens. Time to Musk Up says, from what I remember, it was $600 for a review, $1,000 for a house overview. That seems a bit high, but who knows? I mean, I believe anything at the moment. I would. Oh, hang on. They're still talking about Le Snob. I'd love to read your fiction, says Planter's daughter. Very, very kind. Thank you. Write a historical epic a la War and Peace about the esteemed 1,000-year history of the Creed family, says Denby. Yes. What's this? Woozy saying the curtain drawer, does it refer to unit? Oh, yes. Yeah, yeah. Very, very good. Let's buy Le Snob's rights and publish in India, says Planter's daughter. That would be amazing. I would love to have it published in India. Joanna says, I'm hoping you will be reviewing the new Eris scent on the channel. So am I. Isn't it called Scorpio Rising? It should be good. And actually, fingers crossed, all being well, I should be meeting Antoine Lee very, very soon. So I'll be able to talk to him about it because I think it's Antoine Lee who's done it. So let's go back to Dior and Francis Kurkdjian. The question was also asked by Sense and Smells and a few other people. Saying, what are your thoughts on the appointment of Kurkdjian at Dior? I may have talked about this, but I can't remember. My main thoughts are that I'm super, super, super pleased for him. As you will know from a YouTube video that I did just a few days before the announcement was made, I got my prediction right for once. I knew it was going to be him, and for once I was right. I'm really, really pleased for him, really excited for him. I think it's right that it's him on all sorts of levels. But I think we also all need to accept and understand that he's not suddenly going to go into Dior and turn it into some avant-garde, independent-minded brand that doesn't care about sales, okay? It's not going to happen. If he has been given that job, it is because people at LVMH know that he is fantastically talented and skilled at making commercially very, very successful pieces of work. I think what will be really interesting to watch is what he does with the Collection Privée. Because even though, I have not been as hard on the Collection Privée as some other people have been, but I will concede, I will acknowledge that as a collection, it does seem to have been rather directionless in recent years, and all of Dior's perfume output. Actually, I was talking about this with another journalist the other day. All of Dior's perfume output has seemed rather directionless. Like we were talking about Joy earlier. Joy doesn't feel like a sort of good fit with other things that were happening at Dior. But then you also start thinking, well, what does? Sauvage, I suppose, by virtue of the fact that it's been so successful, you could say, well, clearly somebody knew what they were doing there, even though, I still think it's a horrible piece of work. I mean, really, really do not like it at all, as you know. But I think that will be the really interesting thing to watch with Kurkdjian, to see what he does with that more independent collection. Will he bring back Eau Noire? I hope he does. Will he ditch some of the ones in that collection that really don't need to be there, pleasant smelling pieces of work though they may be? And will he actually go a little bit braver and a little bit bolder there? The pressure will be on him to just keep churning out flankers and flankers of flankers. Although, I mean, he'll be due a new masculine pillar soonish, I would have thought. So that will be an interesting one. So basically, my thoughts are that I will be fascinated to see what he does. Woozy says, I would have preferred Bruno Jovanovic. Yeah, I don't think that would have happened, though. Do you somehow? Woozy says, Dior Amour was quite nice, but everything post-2018 was quite boring. Immortel Fragrance says, the direction of Bois d'Argent, Eau Noire, and Cologne Blanche is the Hedi Slimane style that Hedi Slimane has taken to Celine. Time to Musk Up says, I don't think it's good that he will be busy with two brands, won't concentrate as well on creations and end up releasing a ton of mediocre perfumes. Well, actually, it will be interesting because somebody, and I need to check this out, somebody told me that they saw on LinkedIn a little while ago that the Maison Francis Kurkdjian brand recently hired a perfumer. So, first of all, I need to check whether that is correct. And if it is, that's interesting. Because is there going to be a kind of Thierry Vasseur, Delphine Jelk scenario where there's another perfumer who does a lot of the work at MFK so that Kurkdjian himself can concentrate on Dior? I want to know what's going to happen with Acqua di Parma, because almost all of Acqua di Parma's scents are also made by Demachy. Are Acqua di Parma going to hire an in-house perfumer now? It's all sorts of ramifications, which will be really, really interesting. Time to Musk Up says, my Dior rep said that Dior Amour might get discontinued. Gavin Lambert says, complaining about recent Dior's is like complaining because you don't like Mrs. Brown Boys. It's just not for you. Good point. Yeah, in a way, absolutely good point. And I haven't seen Mrs. Brown's Boys. We're running out of time here, so I need to keep going. Darren of Joseph said, do you hope they bring back Zing? Now, I didn't even know that Zing was gone. So if it is gone, then yes, it needs to come back pronto. Jay Lee said, what are some of your interests and hobbies other than fragrances at the moment? Always, always film, film, film. The last film I watched, before anybody asks, was the movie Spencer, the one about Princess Diana, where Kristen Stewart is... It seems to be getting pretty good reviews. I thought it was pretty diabolically awful. I think I'm just not a fan of this director because he also did the film about Jackie Kennedy with Natalie Portman. I thought that was kind of pretty pointless as well. There was a lot of funny emoting in this movie. I mean, I never kind of got the whole cult of Diana anyway, and maybe you have to be a Diana acolyte to be able to tune into this movie. But both Madame Persolaise and I sort of watched it, and at the end we just sort of thought, what was the point of the last 2 hours? And so many, well, almost all of the characters were caricatures. No, the better film that I watched a few days ago at home was a Polish film called 25 Years of Innocence, a really, really, really horrific true story. I think maybe it was a little bit heavy-handed in some of the depictions of the things it was showing, maybe just ramming some points home a bit too obviously, but that was the film that was worth watching out of the two. Melissa says, I'm so happy for you. Congratulations. I started watching you over a year ago, and I'm not surprised of your success. You are amazing. Thank you very much. That's Melissa from McAllen, Texas. Thank you. You're too kind. You're all amazing because you've helped me get here. Time to Musk Up says, made the mistake of not buying Zing in the old bottle when it was available. Me too. I have it in the most recent bottle, which makes me think, has it been discontinued? Angela says, we have tons of Acqua di Parma on sale in Home Sense. Really? That's interesting. Like which ones? I need to get to my nearest Home Sense. Gavin says, I like Jackie, but I think you have to be a fan of women acting in a weird theatrical way and maybe be a bit like that yourself. It's an actress acting as a woman who is acting badly. Yeah, maybe. I mean, if you liked it, then maybe you may like Spencer. I think some films you either just tune into or you don't. And I just really didn't tune into this one at all. Does perfume ever give you a headache? Said Caro Coffee 123. In a word, no. But I know lots of people that it does give a headache to, like my mum, who gets a headache whenever she smells the world's most famous aldehydic floral. Yes, that one. Sam Tan says, do you love ABBA? I'm fond of ABBA. I wouldn't say I love ABBA, and the only ABBA album I own is their greatest hits collection. But why do you want to know that? And there were some questions that were asked as well that I thought I should have an answer to this, but I don't. Like Leah, I loved this question. Is there a perfume that is not artistically or technically well made, but that you love nevertheless? I thought I want to have an answer to this, but I haven't been able to come up with it yet. If I do come up with an answer, maybe I'll mention it on my blog. Queen Bee Miramonte says, if you could have a bespoke fragrance or one custom made especially for you, what notes or what scent would it be? I thought about this one long and hard, actually, and I came up with two answers. I thought either that I would, it would have to be with a really, really good perfumer, okay, with a really skilled perfumer. And I thought that I would either say, let us try to crack the Lily of the Valley conundrum. Let us try to make a truly, or let us see if it is possible to make a truly superb Lily of the Valley perfume again. My feeling is that I suspect the problem is that it's not possible at the moment. Frederick Malle, of course, tried to put a Lily of the Valley note into Synthetic Jungle, and it is kind of in there, but it's not a Lily of the Valley perfume. So that would be one. And then another one, I personally am fascinated when perfume tries to somehow project an idea of the future. Oh, Renault's asking a question. Are you trying to tell me something, Monsieur Salmon? So like Mugler's Cologne by, who was it? That was by Maurice, wasn't it? I would I would really love to sit with a perfumer and say, let us try to make something that completely smells of the future. As Renaud has asked a question, I think we should answer it. Have you ever got in trouble with a perfume brand or house after a review or article that they really didn't like? Okay, what's the best way of answering this question? I think the simplest answer is no. But then also I should say that maybe I got into trouble, but I didn't know. Maybe they kind of blacklisted me or something and they didn't tell me about it. There was just one time when a PR for a brand wrote to me, actually after I had given after I had given their brand not the worst review. It was just a sort of slightly lukewarm review. Um, And the PR wrote to me. The PR no longer works for the PR company, and I think actually the PR company no longer represents this brand. But the PR wrote to me and said something like, "What do you expect me to say to the brand about the fact that you've written such a mean-spirited review?" And I thought about this, and then I just wrote back to him and said two things. I wrote, number one, I've just reread the review, and I stand by everything that I've written in it. And number two, I don't think it's for me to tell you what you should say to the brand that you represent. But I didn't hear from him for a while, and actually I didn't hear from that brand until this person left the PR company. Somebody mentioned Creed. Now, you see, actually, I think Creed, or whoever does the PR for Creed, they probably do have a note somewhere that says, don't send Persolaise anything. But no, I don't think I've got in any trouble. Why, Renaud? Have you been reading some old reviews of a brand that you may or may not work for? And are you now going to point me into the naughty corner? Good response to the PR, says Lynn. Well, yeah, I thought to myself, well, what do you want me to say? I'm not going to tell you how to do your job. It's your job to decide how you're going to talk to the brand, right? Everyday Product says Persolaise has his pictures on stores that he can't enter the store. Do you know, actually, whenever I do go into a shop and if people recognize me, they're usually so kind. Renaud saying not at all. I was joking. I know. We need to hurry up. Sam Tan says, have you ever shifted your opinions drastically on any perfumes over time? If so, why do you think it happened? I have shifted my opinions, but I don't know if I have done so drastically. I'd have to think about that. So, for instance, Tom Ford Santal Blush, I really liked when I first smelt it. But then as the years passed, I realized that actually I love it. I really, really love it. And I think it may be my favorite Tom Ford, and I adore wearing it. And it's one of the ones that I never want to be without a bottle. So yes, but maybe not a drastic change. I'd have to think about that a little bit more. Let's see if there's some more here. There were so many. We Are Sentient says, where's the best place to go to for cake? And I would say France, but if you can't go to France and you're in the UK, go to La Durée. Mayor Evie said, what's a good starter men's fragrance that is inoffensive and office safe? I think you can't go wrong with Terre d'Arnès. Ella T. Jader says, your thoughts on Andy Towers' new perfume Sundowner. That's easy. I haven't tried it, but I will be ordering my sample very, very soon. Favorite album, said DL Moore. Now, I've got a few, and these are the ones that came to mind straight away. So Madonna's Ray of Light, Air's Talkie Walkie, I'm pretty sure it's called Talkie Walkie, Tori Amos's Little Earthquakes, and Paul Simon's Graceland. Those were the four that came to my mind straight away, but I'm sure there are many, many more. Prof Melvin says, what fragrance note or accord do you find appalling? Woody ambers, and oh yeah, woody ambers, when they're overdone, and also synthetic sandalwoods. There is something, and I'm pretty sure is the new. No, actually, I shouldn't say in case I'm wrong, because I need to revisit the sample. But when synthetic sandalwoods are overdone, ooh, that really, really, really is like chalk on a blackboard for me. So things like Ebanol, and to some extent maybe even Javanol, although I can take Javanol a little bit more, but when they are terrifically, fantastically, tremendously important ingredients. But if they are overdone, I just think, oh, it's like, if you go to a bad Italian restaurant and they try to cover up the fact that actually their food isn't very good and their ingredients aren't very good, they try to cover that up by putting in tons of garlic. To me, that the synthetic sandalwood thing in perfumery is the equivalent of trying to cover up your not very good cooking with tons and tons of garlic. Italian food, yes, obviously it is about garlic, but it absolutely is not just about an overdose of garlic. And if anybody knows about Italian cooking more than I do, and that is most of you, please tell me that I'm not wrong on that, okay? Because actually, what makes Italian cooking special is the quality of all of the ingredients. So, I think it's time to stop because 50 minutes of me talking about myself is plenty. Cough Cough Santal 33 says time to... Now, see, no, actually there, I like Santal 33. I like Santal 33 because there is so much more happening there. And that's by... Is that by Jan Vanier? I think that is, Italian cooking. The Gavin says, this is the angriest I have ever seen you. Really? Sorry. Okay. The 10,000 subscriber celebrations will have to continue in some way. Olfactive Stories, that is very kind, but no, I need to be quiet now. Actually, I need to go and do some cooking now. The 10,000 subscribers celebration will continue, hopefully with some interesting interviews between now and Christmas. And this other idea that I have as well that I need to see if technically I will be able to pull off, and that would actually involve all of you, so watch this space. But until then, once again, take a deep breath so that I can put all of my sincerity into saying a huge thank you to you. Oh, it was Frank Vocal, okay, for Santal 33. No, Santal Blush was Jan Vanier, wasn't it? Yeah, I think. Anyway, so a huge thank you to all of you for helping me reach this milestone. I really can't quite believe it's happened. I'm kind of thinking, I remember how excited I was when I got to 500, let alone 1,000 or 10,000. Let's see what happens from now. It's probably going to take another like 5 years to get to 20,000. But thank you, thank you, thank you. Your support really, really means so much to me. The fact that I always end these videos. Do I get a thing from YouTube? You don't get a thing from YouTube for 10,000. You only get a thing for 100,000. I always finish these videos with a huge smile on my face, and they make my day. And that is all down to you and the fact that we have got this beautiful thing called Perfume to talk about, and the fact that you are also generous and knowledgeable and kind and witty and articulate and funny. And basically, thank you, thank you, thank you. None of this would have happened if it weren't for you. So enough now. Be good. I am off to cook some pasta. See you soon. Bye.